Am I the asshole for telling my sister she is no longer the it girl? So I, 25 female, have a sister, 30 female. We are from a small town where everyone knows each other. When we were younger, she was the it girl of our town. She was really pretty, social, well-liked by everyone in general. I was the opposite. I looked like Dobby from Harry Potter. I was extremely skinny, had crooked teeth, frizzy hair, and a huge nose. Really grotesque to look at in general. When people saw us together, they would get really surprised. They would often ask us whether we have the same dad or not. On top of that, I always felt like my sister was ashamed of me. She never wanted to take me anywhere or wouldn't like being seen with me. She even told me it's because people ask her questions about me. The thing that really annoyed me was when her friends would make fun of me. They would often call me the little goblin, and my sister would never stick up for me. Anyways, since I knew from a young age people wouldn't like me for my looks, I always worked hard on my grades. I went to a good university, then I worked on my looks. I gained weight, got a hair care routine, got a nose job, and got braces. Now I look 7 out of 10. My sister's life, on the other hand, didn't go so well. She went to university, dropped out, got married and divorced, and moved back at home and works in a market. She also gained a lot of weight because of the stress. This summer, she called me asking whether she could come and stay with me and my fiance for a while. She told me that she cannot live with my mom anymore and there is nothing to do in our small town. I agreed and she started living with us. The issue is, whenever she gets the chance, she talks about our past. She says how much I changed myself and tells everyone my looks weren't always great. And the other day, we were out with my friends and she did it again. But she also showed the most unflattering childhood picture of me and people started laughing. I don't know what happened, but I started seeing red. I told her she also looks really different now, like 40 pounds heavier. She is also no longer the it girl, so she should stop acting that way. She is the girl who lives at her sister's house rent-free and tries to embarrass her. We are currently not talking. So Reddit, am I the asshole?
I have the best tip on how to deal with mean girls. This past weekend I was in the Hamptons, and you know how people in the Hamptons are kind of like, which is totally fine. They're kind of like cartoon characters. I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny. I'm very entertained by this type of person. But, you know, there's definitely some mean girls sprinkled in the mix of those, if not all. And Friday night, we were at a club, and it has like a restaurant area, and I was leaving from eating dinner to go back to the dance floor to go dance with my friends. And this girl stops me dead in my tracks, and she's like, what's your vibe? Like, who are you? Like, what's going, like, who, like, what is this? Like, what is, and I was like, huh? Oh, I'm Grace. Nice to meet you. And she goes, are you like a fashion girly? And I was like, I don't know. Yeah. Yes. Like, sure. And then she's like, oh my God, no, I just like, where'd you get your dress? And I was like, I got it from a boutique. She was right. But if you're a fashion girly, you're wearing fake Hermes slides. And I said, yeah, they're Steve Madden. Like, I love Steve Madden. Like, what's up? Steve Madden, that's my boy. Freaking love him. And and then she was like, yeah, it's just like so weird that you're just like wearing, like I can tell by the stitching, like it's just like weird, like da-da-da. And I was like, okay, yeah, no. And I didn't know what to say. What do you say? I'm like, I don't care about the slides. I'm like, I don't know what to say. So I'm like, yeah, everybody's like so rich here with the Hermes thing. She goes, I'm one of the rich ones. And I was like, all right, let's cut the charade here. Let's cut the act. I said, I'm a girl's girl. I don't know if anyone else is going to tell you this, but I will. You're kind of being a bitch right now, and you're coming off as super unfriendly. Maybe that's not what you're trying to do, but I just want to let you know, I can handle it. I don't know if anyone else could, so I'm just going to kind of like cut it right here. This girl was so gooped and so gagged. I truly scalped her in that moment that she just immediately almost started crying. She's like, oh my God, I'm so like, I just had the worst day today. I'm super insecure about my outfit. I love your dress. I just think it's so cute. Like, I really do. And I just, like, I had the worst day. And I hate what I'm wearing. And I just, like, and I was like, listen, it's fine. I forgive you. It's okay. Just cut the shit, sister. She was really embarrassed, honestly. And then she kind of was, like, friendly with me for the rest of the night, which is fine. Whatever. But one thing that you should totally do in these situations, like if I was 19 years old, I don't even know what I would have done. I probably would have been shook or upset or my feelings hurt. I'm 25 now. We're cutting it short. I'm not into the whole, like, this whole dance. So just, 1, kill people with kindness always. It's the best way. 2, don't let people speak to you in a way. Just be like, what is this? What are you coming at me like this? And do it nicely. You know, maybe they're having a bad day. I'm sure she was having a bad day. She told me she was. Doesn't mean that she should talk to people like that, but I'm not her mother. And that is how you should definitely deal with situations like that.
The teacher that married her 2nd grade student. Mary Kay Letourneau was a married mother of 4 when she first met Billy Furlow. She was a teacher at Sherwood Elementary School, and Billy was an 8-year-old in her 2nd grade class. All of Mary Kay's students loved her because she was pretty and sweet and blonde. Mary Kay said that since the moment she met Billy, remember when he was only 8 years old, she knew that he was special and that they kept in contact over the years. Then in 1995, Billy was Mary Kay's student once again. Mrs. Letourneau was 34 years old now and teaching 6th grade. Billy was 12 years old now and in her 6th grade class. Something that I don't think is brought up enough is that Billy was only a year older than Mary Kay's oldest son. Billy was Mary Kay's favorite student. She would invite him over all the time throughout the school year to hang out with her family and play with her kids. They were spending a lot of time together, and Billy was developing quite a serious crush on his teacher. Mary Kay would say that he came on to her first and was pursuing her very hard. But I need to make something very, very clear, and I cannot stress this enough. It is normal for a child to have a crush on their teacher. It is not normal, and it's disgusting for those feelings to be reciprocated. And as the adult in the situation, Mary Kay should have known what was appropriate and put an end to it. But just to further prove how much of a 12-year-old boy Billy was at this point, he had a $20 bet with another student that he could make Mrs. Letourneau sleep with him. And when 6th grade let out for the summer, Mary Kay started statutory essaying Billy. And by the end of summer, Mary Kay was pregnant with Billy's child. I just cannot stress this enough to you guys. She's almost 35 and he is 12 years old. And that she's married already with 4 kids, one of whom is extremely close in age to Billy. Well, Mary Kay's husband finds out about what's happening, and one of his relatives actually called and reported the abuse, and Mary Kay was arrested for the first time. Mary Kay, who is very pregnant by now, said that she didn't know that what she was doing was a felony. And Billy continued to support her throughout the entire trial. He said that he was not a victim, what they did was completely consensual, and that they were in love. Mary Kay's husband was awarded a divorce and also full custody of their children, and I don't know if she ever saw her first 4 children ever again. Mary Kay gave birth to her and Billy's first daughter while awaiting sentencing and was sentenced to about 80 days in prison. Following Mary Kay's release, she was given a no-contact order, so she was unable to have any contact of any minor, which included all of her children and Billy. But of course, she quickly broke that no contact order. Her and Billy started seeing each other pretty much almost immediately, but they were quickly caught and she was arrested again. This time she was put on the registered SA offender list. But by the time that she was caught, she was already pregnant with Billy's 2nd child. This time around, she was sentenced to over 7 years in prison and gave birth to her and Billy's 2nd daughter while in jail. Both of those babies were put in the custody of Billy's mom, by the way. By the time that Mary Kay was released the 2nd time, Billy was 21 years old and he filed to have the no contact order overturned, which was granted by a judge. So him and Mary Kay got married then. He was 22 years old and Mary Kay was 43. They were married for about 12 years before Billy filed for a legal separation, but the two were never able to actually get legally divorced because Mary Kay got really sick and ended up passing away in 2020 at the age of 58 years old. Since Mary Kay's passing, Billy has done a lot of TV interviews and it seems like he's finally come to terms with the fact that he was a victim. He says quite often that if he was attracted to a 12-year-old while he was in his 30s, he would seek professional help and that would be extremely disturbing. He also says that if either of his daughters ever said that they were dating their teacher, that he would report it, and it would be gross. I really feel for Billy. I mean, Mary Kay, through the abuse, ruined his teenage years, his 20s, his 30s, really all the best years of his life. I mean, he was a father 2 times over by the age of 14. That is some serious trauma, and I hope he has a lot of support. As for Mary Kay, I think that she is a narcissist who became fixated on a victim and refused to let go. It also seems like she convinced herself that the two were star-crossed lovers and that she was doing nothing wrong. She actually never ever admitted to doing anything wrong because they were in love. Up until the day she died, she put all the blame on Billy, who, remember, was only 8 years old by the time they met. And she honestly had a lot of supporters who believed her when she said that the two were soulmates, which is so freaky and disgusting. And you know, if the genders were reversed, it would be a completely different story.
Story time on how my high school soccer team literally just beat out the #1 team in the state last night in the district championship when we're not even a state ranked team. I don't really care if you guys care about this or not, but I care, and it's my senior year and I've been fighting for this for like 4 years straight, and we finally got it in the most like unbelievable game upsetting way possible. So this all starts 2 days before when we win in the district semifinals, which was against a team that has knocked us out of districts for 2 years in a row before that. When you look at Michigan high school rankings, it only shows you the top 15 in the state. We're not on there, and I don't even think we're close to being on there, but we beat out the number 14th team 2 days before the championship, which, if I'm being honest, like, that was enough for me. That was a team that if we lost to, I could not go away and leave soccer behind contently, but we won, and like, that was all I needed, because that team wasn't even in our conference, so we had never played them yet this season. So we ended up winning 2-0, and then we're going into a game playing the #1 team in the state. We've played them 3 times this season. We've never come out with a win ever. We tied them once, like, my sophomore year. Honestly, it's always fun playing them because their team has about 7 of my club team girls on it, so I know a lot of the girls on the #1 team in the state because we play together. So yeah, I went into the game ready to fight, ready to play. You know, you obviously want to come out with a win, but if we lost that game, I feel like I could have left soccer behind contently because it would have been my last game against a really good team who is pretty much undefeated. Years in the past for high school soccer, I've always been on varsity ever since a freshman. I've always started, and we've always had talent. We've always had the talent to make it far. But there's something about this year, like, everyone wants it, and it's so crazy to see it. And yesterday was just the most scrappiest, like, fight for your life game I've ever played in. So as for the game, we start with a 5-back. We usually play a 4-back, so we're very defensive. We probably have one of the best defensive lines in the OK Red. The OK Red is like the biggest pool you can play in for my area, and then we're also Division 1, so that means you're in the best pool you can play in for Michigan. So we go the entire first half, we tie 0-0, you know, it's just scrap. So at that point, after the half, after we tie them in the first half, I'm like, we can't lose. Like, I will not be content with losing anymore. Like, we have to win. So going into the second half, everyone wants it, and it's going good, and then off a corner kick, they curve a ball into the goal. It wasn't even like a created goal. It was off a set piece. It was a really great corner kick. So if I'm being super honest here, my mindset after they scored was, we're done. We've never scored on them. Not many people have. I just didn't see how it was possible in a game where we are playing only defense. And out of nowhere, I want to say like 5 minutes after they score, our freshman, this girl who is just insane, literally takes a shot from like the 30-yard line and just lofts it over the keeper. It was the most beautiful shot I ever saw. Like, I literally started crying, and I just ran and just gave her a hug. So the game is still on. We're still tied. I'm just trying to add makeup here so I can, like, keep talking about the game. I don't know if this is right, but at this point, it felt like there was, like, 10, not a lot of minutes left. Like, we just had to keep it clean, and we just wanted to get to a PK shootout. So the game finishes, and we go into double overtime. At that point, the shot ratio, like, let's say one team takes 10 shots, another team takes 12 shots a game. It was 20 to 1 shot. We had 1 shot, and we made it. I have to say, without a doubt, we have the best keeper in Michigan. Yes, they had like 20 shots on goal, but also our defense, we have such good players on defense. Me and my friend have been playing together since literally the womb, it feels like, and we just locked down, and every single person in that back line stepped up that day. Like, literally stepped up the most I've ever seen it. Game finishes, we go into overtime, no one scores again. Again, it's another just intense, scrappy round. They're coming, like they're trying to get the shots off, they're trying, but they cannot get a good enough shot to score. So then PK shootouts come, which is a moment we have been practicing for weeks. We expected to go into a PK shootout the 2 days before, and what we wanted to do was go into a shootout against this number one team. The other team shoots first, they go up to the line, absolutely bombs it over the net, misses their PK. Everyone in the line just knew we had it. We just knew we had it. We had been practicing our PKs. I knew everyone in that lineup was not going to miss their PK. Then our first girl goes, makes her PKs. The next girl goes. On the other team, she makes it. I go, I make it. The next girl on the other team goes, she misses. At that point, I knew it was game. Our next girl made it. Their next girl, I don't even know if they made it or missed it, but then the freshman that scored the goal made her last PK to lock it in, and we won the game. It was so insane. Like, I'm trying to describe it, but there's just no way to describe it when you just feel like such an underdog and you come in and take out a team that you have been trying to take out for 4 years. Like, I feel bad because we know so many of the girls on the other team, and it was such a good game, and they did such a good job. So it is kind of like one of those like awkward moments. They won it last year. They won it. I don't even know if they won it the year before. They just like, they always win it, you know? So we have fought for so long, and just like my group of core girls that has played club together forever and we're on the team together literally has just put so much in, and it feels so good to win that your senior year. And they're all going to play college soccer. That's what I was originally going to do, but plans change, and I'm just happy that that's how I'm ending my season.
Not ending. We're going to regionals and playing the number 5 team.
Even for like my coaches, it's got to be like so fun to see it finally happen after like all this time. Kind of got to go, but the only other women's soccer team to win the district was 10 years ago, the same team that my sister played on, and they won. Now 10 years later, we win it, and I'm playing. Anyway, I gotta go. I tried to explain that as simple as possible because I know not everyone plays soccer, so I don't know if you even understood this or cared about it. But it's a fun thing to be able to like look back on and look at these stories, and my social media is like also a documentation for me, not just you guys. So yeah, there's the story time. I gotta go. I didn't do anything with my hair today, but thanks for all the love and support. Peace out. Love you. Bye.
Am I the astronaut for asking my friends what flavor their wedding cake is? I, 22 female, am in the wedding party of my friends. We will call M, 25 female, and Ro, 25 male, who will be getting married in about 2 months. I've been really excited about the wedding since it'll be an opportunity for all my friends from college to get together for the first time in 2 years. Not to mention M and Ro are my best friends, or at least I thought they were. We have a Discord for all the wedding stuff, and they have a channel about food. They've been really good about being open about the food that they intend to have at the reception, including vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free options for everyone, and answering questions. So I didn't think there would be any contention if I asked a question. Anyway, about 4 days ago, I posted a message into the Discord asking, hey, what flavor is the cake gonna be? I want to mentally prepare myself, LOL. I think looking back, my choice of extra words is what caused all this, but I meant it in the sense that I have a long documented dislike of chocolate-flavored foods like cake or ice cream, so I added it in the event the cake was chocolate. I received a private message back that the cake would be chocolate and that if I had a problem with it, then I could shove it because it was their wedding, not mine. And I felt really taken aback by this response. Never did I mention that I would have been upset and certainly would have put up a stink about it. It's exactly like Im had said, it's their wedding. I explained it as much and tried to apologize for any offending I did, but she got even more defensive and started basically blasting me for implying that she was offended, and I was just left overall very confused. I gave it 2 days before I tried to apologize again and smooth it over, figuring she may have just been having a bad day, but I got shut down again, telling me she didn't need my apology because nothing was wrong, and I needed time to stop trying to make it seem like shit was wrong between us and to just drop it. I texted Ro to see if I could gauge what was going on, since he and I have always had an open dialogue about things like this, but he basically told me he couldn't talk to me right now, and I have to imagine it's because Im told him not to. It's been 2 days since then. I'm basically just really confused. This whole thing has made me want to drop out of the wedding party and honestly not go at all. I wish Ro would talk to me and Em would be honest. I can't help but think maybe I just don't get how stressful planning a wedding is, and like maybe they've gotten pushback from other people on things and somehow it's being taken out on me. Or is it really a big no-no to ask stuff like this? I don't know. This is the first wedding I'll ever have gone to, so am I the astronaut? And this is an update to it. I hope you guys remember this story. Let's dive in. We'll see where this goes here. Okay, Ro is the groom from the original story. Heads up on that. Comment by Ro on the original post. Hey, Izzy, I'm not surprised you didn't share the whole story. You never do. Just like last year's surprise party for M, Too Long Don't Read, Izzy here spoiled the surprise and tried to claim my present was hers. I'm Ro, the groom-to-be. I don't do Reddit, but my best man does and frequents this thread. He saw this post and it was so obvious it was you. This whole cake thing did happen, but it is not the whole story and did not go the way Izzy claims. First off, cake was not her only complaint. You refused to have a joint bachelorette dinner because I have a poor taste. You said my suit was tacky because I wanted white, not traditional black, and you whined about the bridesmaids' dresses being purple because you wanted ivory. Any decision we've made, there's always a complaint. And M has done nothing but be patient and try to find common ground. She should not have to change her wedding choices for you. Second, we never told you to shove it. M only messaged you privately because she was tired of having to argue in the group chat. Everyone else is tired of your bullshit too, so we don't want to bother them with it. It's a cake. Eat it or don't. You have hated me ever since I joined the friend group, and that's fine, but you will not ruin M's day because of your pettiness. If you care about her, then honor her decisions. Of course M is different, because she grew the f*** up. All of us did, except you. My God, you're 22. Stop acting like a spoiled teenager. Chocolate cake will not kill you. By the way, asshole, I'm 26, not 25. Pay attention. I wasn't angry about this until you decided to go to the internet for pity. It's pathetic and immature. For the record, M double-checked my response. She signed off on it. Get it together. It's pathetic and immature to anonymously post asking for advice on Reddit, but you coming here starting shit and posting my real name isn't? Okay, Marcus, since we're not hiding anymore, how does it feel to have your shit aired for real? Here's how I know M didn't sign off, because she never would have agreed to use my real name. You're just trying to get me upset at her too. She's my best friend, and I should have known you'd do this. You always try to manipulate us into being mad at each other. Case in point, when I had planned this awesome dinner for just her and I, you had to plan her surprise party for the same day. I just wanted alone time with my best friend, but you couldn't wait one day for the party. M has known me for longer than you, and no offense, I'm sure I know her better than you do, but I've kept my mouth shut because I love her and just wanted to be happy. I complain about everything, then how come I've never said anything about the hundreds of times you've made M cancel plans with me to go hang out with you? I just wanted my best friend to spend a little time with me. We're not allowed to have sleepovers anymore because it makes you uncomfortable. We'll take a girls trip for the weekend because it's too expensive. Sorry, you can't take care of her like I can. Some of us can afford rent. Clearly, this was never about the cake and more so about you hating me. I was fine when you joined the friend group, but you clearly weren't fine with my and M's relationship. You've been the same towards some of her other friends who I'm sure would agree. Get a life, Marcus. Stop trying to take mine. She was fine using your name. You brought this to the internet, not us. If you don't want this attention, don't post. The plan was for you to distract her while we set up the party by taking her to a movie, not going to the movies, then taking her to dinner and telling her about the party. We waited hours expecting y'all to be back. Oh no. I have never once made M cancel. She always did that on her own, and not frequently at all. You've had plenty of alone time with her. Just because she spends time with me too doesn't mean I'm forcing her to. And yes, a trip to multiple countries across Europe is very much too expensive. We already live paycheck to paycheck, which you know. I know money isn't a concern for you, but it very much is for us. Not all of us have apartments paid for by daddy. Nobody else seems to think the same things about me, and if I'm wrong, I will gladly listen and change. But that requires communication directly, not anonymous Reddit posts. You may have known her longer, but you clearly don't know M well. You fail to see how miserable your comments and attitude have made her these past few months. For her sake, knock it off. And OP comes back. Paid by daddy, real mature asshole. You know I work hard like everyone else. It's not my fault my parents make better decisions than yours and can actually keep their kids. And of course, I wasn't just going to take her to the movies on her birthday, ruse or not, it was still her birthday. And she's my friend, and I love her and wanted her to have a decent meal other than the shitty pizza you bought for her. Also, maybe you didn't tell M to cancel, but knowingly asking for plans when we had them is basically the same thing. Before you, she was fine. She had everything she needed. And for all of you in the comments saying I have a crush or want to F M, you're delusional and know nothing about me. We're best friends. I love her. She loves me. It's not my fault. We can have natural chemistry that everyone over the internet can feel, but it's not like that. Marcus, you're an asshole. You've been an asshole since day one. Just admit that you're not the guy who can give her what she needs and move the f*** on and leave us alone. Oops.
think I just cheated with my boyfriend's brother. Story time. So me and my boyfriend haven't been together for too long. For that reason, I really don't know any of his family. And I know that kind of doesn't fully excuse what I did. However, I think if you knew the ins and outs of our relationship, which is too much to go into, you would kind of agree with what I did. The one thing that kind of really pushed me over the edge to decide to cheat was him just constantly flirting with my best friend. It kind of really annoyed me. She told me on a night out, one thing led to another, and I was kissing a guy in the back of a club. To be honest, I weren't really picky when it came to who I was like choosing to cheat with that night. I just needed to let go of some steam. Got with the first person I saw. One thing I will say is that I did notice this guy, oh god, let's just call him Mark. Makes life a lot easier. I did notice Mark looking at me, which is kind of why I chose to approach him. And he looked a little familiar. He looked a little bit like my boyfriend. That's why I fancied him. But as I said, I knew practically nothing about my boyfriend's family. So I didn't actually know he had a brother. She barely even knew his parents' name. However, my boyfriend did tell me that he had told his family about me because we live a little while away, which is why I hadn't met them. That's what I've been telling myself anyway. But I would ask him like, do your parents know about me? Does your family know about me? And he would always say yes. Looking back on it, Mark should have known about me. So we kind of started kissing, and then at the end of the night, I went back to his house. I started to know something was up when we pulled up to the driveway. I saw my boyfriend's car in the drive. But I didn't say anything. I thought maybe I'm so drunk and like I'm just seeing things. I tried to ignore it basically. And the whole night happened, not gonna go into detail. So when I woke up in the morning, I thought I'd be really nice and try and make Mark some breakfast. Went to his kitchen and started to try and scrape something together. It was the most boy kitchen and fridge I've ever seen in my whole entire life. You actually can't write it. You generally can't write it. Had some bacon on the go. Turn around to start buttering the bread and I see my boyfriend stood there. My boyfriend was there all night. He probably heard me and his brother. Obviously, I found out it was his brother because he said to me. It's not a great situation.
Tell you about how I get a letter when I turn 18 telling me how my mom died from my mom. And if you're thinking, that sounds really weird and suspicious. Yeah, so let's back up a little bit for context. My mom died last, March. It was really weird. There wasn't an accident. She wasn't sick. She just fell asleep and never woke up. So that's like the first weird thing. Then fast forward like a month later in April, my mom's doctor told us that she died from a blood clot. Okay, like that's a bit odd, but whatever. Then fast forward like another 6 months later to this past August, my doctor tells me that my mom died from a heart condition that she's had since she was a baby. Why am I being told 2 different reasons for her death from 2 different doctors? Then fast forward like another, 6 months later to this past April, like 2 months ago. I'm in a fight with my dad, and almost every fight with my dad turns into some version of like a dead mom talk. And he goes, one day I'll give you a letter from mom and it'll all make sense. You can't just tell me that. So obviously I'm like concerned because what the fuck? Because there's so much to unpack there, and basically from the context of what he was saying, I kind of got the point that the letter was going to tell me about how my mom died and possibly something else. I don't know. But the weird thing is my mom didn't know she was going to die. So how did she know to write this letter telling me how she died? Because that doesn't add up with what I've been told. Like at all. So, now I'm starting to get a little suspicious because I'm like, what are you on? Like, what is going on? And I'm like actively trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So even if it wasn't about like my mom's death, let's just say, go off on a limb, say it's not about that. How would she know to write this letter to me, insinuating that she wasn't going to be here herself to tell me it? Also, what would that be? Well, it could be the fact that there are no photos of my mom pregnant with me. And the camera that we had during that time, because it was before phones, the camera that we had during that time that my mom was pregnant with me, the SD card's very conveniently broken. So that's really interesting. So I'm actively like, what the fuck, trying to figure out what is going on in my life. And I don't know. And I won't know till I turn 18, so I'm just gonna have to sit here and wait for the next, like, 2 years. So anyway, I hope to, like, all the people that were asking me on all my other videos about this particular story, I hope you got the answers you were looking for. I don't have all of my answers, so we're just gonna have to sit here clueless for the next 2 years until I turn 18. But yeah, everybody was requesting story times on all the different stories and things that were in all those slideshows. Everybody keeps asking for them, so I feel like this is the most requested one, but